What plot hole irritates you the most? One of my favorite movies is The Replacements. But you're telling me that a group of replacement players can go out and beat the reigning Super Bowl champs and they all go back to their normal jobs? Nobody got signed. Not even Falco. Toy Story 2, if Woody is an old family toy, which makes sense because he was apparently made in the 50s, then why does he not seem to have any memory of being owned by anyone but Andy? I wouldn't mind as much if it wasn't hugely central to the entire plot of the movie that he's afraid of Andy outgrowing him. How are new cars made in the Cars series? We have 2 full movies about generations of cars but only know that they have regular car bits via 2. Do cars have living babies like mammals? Or car eggs? Are they built? If they are built by who? Why do car bugs exist? How does Sally have a tramp stamp? Is Mater missing his nose skin essentially? Does Mater full-on crotch grab peeps to drag them to a garage? Would a detail/paint shop be essentially a plastic surgery center? How do trailers work? Does Lightning McQueen essentially peg Mac every time he goes into him? Is that how baby cars are delivered? Why am I so curious about the world of cars/planes? I'll gladly participate. In The Emperor's New Groove, there is a scene in which Cusco and Pasha are shown on a map clearly winning a footrace to Isma's secret lab. In fact, Isma and Kronk have been struck by lightning over a gorge, and are shown to have fallen into it. Yet somehow she and Kronk have arrived to the lab first, in time to hide the potion that Cusco needs. By all accounts, it doesn't make sense. Prometheus. When the geologist with the drones and high-tech mapping gear was lost. Why in hell wouldn't Harry remember his godfather's gift? That one still annoys me. So Danis just kind of forgot about the ships. Literally 5 minutes earlier. They have ships. One Harry Potter plot hole that has bothered me since I was a kid is how did Fred and George get the passphrase to the Marauders map? I solemnly swear that I am up to no good is very specific. Why doesn't Kagan fly the pod racer instead? He could use the Force to cheat his way to victory instantly. Obi-Wan could do it, too. Easily. And why the fuck does nobody, even a fucking queen, come back for Anakin's mother? They could have wrapped that shit up in less than a day. Not sure if this counts as a plot hole, but Home Alone 2 really bugs me. The McAllister family. 1. Lives in a mansion in Chicago. 2. Treats extended family to holiday vacations. 3. Has 2 parents who are attentive enough to regularly attend school functions and fairly discipline their children when they misbehave. 4. Experienced the worst-case scenario from waking up late 1 year earlier. And you're telling me this family still only has 1 alarm clock in the entire house? I used to kinda get annoyed with people who complained about how Frodo and Sam didn't actually go to Osgiliath. This ruins the movie, but when you actually delve into understanding the character and motivations of the major players in Lord of the Rings, Sauron being deceived about where the ring is actually a major plot point. In Return of the King, Sauron focuses all of his attention on Aragorn because he thinks Aragorn has the ring. So Frodo showing the ring to a wraith in Osgiliath makes a lot of Sauron's actions after that make less sense. Why is he not turning over every stone looking for the hobbit he last saw holding the ring? Why is he falling for what are now much more obvious diversions? So some guy sneaks into the Gotham Stock Exchange and performs a bunch of illegal trades, so now Bruce Wayne is broke. So of course that means they should turn off his power the same day. The movie annoys me for many reasons, but in The Dark Knight Rises, the police force spend months underground yet when they emerge they are all cleanly shaven, their uniforms are neatly pressed, and their shirts are pristine. How Ant-Man was able to go into the quantum realm and only a short time passed compared to everyone else, but when Hank Pym's wife went in, the same exact time passed for her as for Hank Pym. Aladdin. And #X200B. Aladdin's first wish was, make me a prince, not, make me look like a prince. The beginning of Man of Steel where Superman's home planet is being destroyed and the villain is exiled while the planet is exploding and all of the citizens are dying on the planet. His punishment was literally being the only survivor besides Superman. In Batman Begins, the weapon is a microwave that affected the water supply, but the people, who are about 80% water, are completely immune. Who is Chip's father in Beauty and the Beast, and what happened to his other brothers and sisters Mrs. Potts mentioned? And Beast didn't look like an 11-year-old in the portrait that was destroyed. Karate Kid, 1984, the referee overseeing the climactic battle in The Karate Kid had repeatedly told competitors that kicks to the face are not allowed. Later, however, we see Daniel pull off the crane kick move and win by kicking Johnny in the face. BoJack Horseman specifically establishes weight, revealing that despite everybody being human versions of animals, they still have their respective weights. BoJack specifically states he is over 1,000 pounds. Then there's a scene where a fly carries him high enough to be nearly hit by a plane. Flies weigh nothing and weight was already previously established. This is actually the only plot hole that exists in the show, prove me wrong. Why does Santa want Rudolph to guide the sleigh with his bright-ass nose on a foggy night? Bright lights plus fog equals whiteout. If Buzz Lightyear believes he is a space ranger, why does he pretend to be non-sentient along with the other toys when Andy or his mom come into the room? In the movie Snowpiercer, the character Edgar was born on the train. Where did he get an Irish accent from? No one else on the train has one, and even if his mother did, he would have a train accent from talking to the others his whole life. In A Quiet Place. Why didn't they just close their doors? Doors can be loud, sure. But if you close the doors very very quietly and slowly, they don't make much noise. Also, why did their youngest son walk last? Shouldn't he have been up front with mom? TV or movie, whatever you got. I'll go first. Cinderella, if your whole outfit and ride all changed back at midnight, why didn't your shoes? Were you always going to end up with glass slippers as a souvenir? Not sure if it's a plot hole or not, but in just about every single action movie, the protagonist will run their way through dozens of bad guys, killing them all without a second though in the world. Then when they get to the main bad guy, they stop to have a 5-minute conversation before they decide to just fight it out. James Bond movies are perhaps the worst at this. Why didn't Ariel write Eric a message in the sand explaining that Ursula stole her voice? She knows how to write because she signed her name on Ursula's contract. She never thought to grab a quill pen and a piece of parchment and explain in writing? Toy Story 1, the movie is Buzz coming to terms with the fact that he is a toy, and his backstory is not actually real. Toy Story 2, the movie is Woody discovering his backstory. If every toy fresh off the shelf believes they are actually that thing and not a toy, then why does Woody not remember at all? If Buzz is aware of Zurg, then why does Woody not know Jesse, Bullseye, or Pete until meeting them? In The Dark Knight Rises, Bruce Wayne's knee joint is completely worn out from being Batman and requires the use of a special knee brace gadget that gives him super-powered kicks. Fast forward to when Bane breaks his back and imprisons him in the pit. I don't think Bane would have left Bruce with that knee brace gadget. Even so, Bruce heals his back, climbs out of the hole, and makes that large leap to freedom, with his busted knee. How? Am I missing something? Read this as pothole. Living in Michigan has ruined me. Here is one my 5-year-old daughter figured out. Infinite, Mark Wahlberg. Premise of the movie is that some people are immortal and repeatedly reborn into new bodies. Head bad guy is tired of being reborn and wants to end all life on Earth so that rebirth is not possible. He is at war with the good immortals and has a special gun that when he shoots the good immortals, their soul is pulled from their body so they will not rebirth. My daughter asked, "Daddy, why doesn't he just use the gun on himself?" Edit, title error. Why does Ross, the largest friend, not simply eat the other friends? In episode 2F09, when Itchy plays Scratchy's skeleton like a xylophone, he strikes that same rib twice in succession, yet he produces two clearly different tones. I mean, what are we to believe that this is some sort of a magic xylophone or something? Hocus pocus. The witches are so amazed by the present day, like they see a paved road and a bus, and they're like, WTF? What is this? Half hour later, Bette Midler flies alongside the good guys and says, "Show me your license and registration." How would she know about that? In Army of Darkness, Evil Dead 3, Ash gets out of the pit without a shotgun. Then moments later he has it when he shoots the sword. This bothers me. Blow. How Iron Man needed hand thrusters for stability to fly but Star-Lord doesn't. We recently watched The Ring again. Naomi Watts' character spends 7 days on a wild goose chase trying to figure out how to stop the curse and just leaves her 8-year-old kid at home to fend for himself the entire time. In the Game of Thrones TV show, in a notably early departure from the books, Jaime Lannister murders his cousin in cold blood in order to escape imprisonment at Riverrun. This is kinslaying, and one of the worst things that you could do in Westeros, even if you're already the Kingslayer. Face slash off. Faces are not masks. The skin covers bone and muscle that help make up the distinctive features and, even if that wasn't the case, Cage and Travolta still have their own hair. And voices. And teeth. Is it a plot hole, or a contrivance? The Jurassic Park scientists not foreseeing that using the DNA from a species of frog that changes sex when it needs to would also make the female dinosaurs change sex due to a lack of males. And Alan Grant, an archaeologist, knew of this trait in this specific species of frogs, but not the biologists who picked that specific frog to fill the DNA holes. Independence Day. At a time when we could barely make a Mac talk to a PC, you're telling me that they figured out how to upload a virus on an alien operating system? In The Lost World, the crew of the SS Venture was all killed without explanation. I've heard raptors were on the boat but there's no evidence, and I've heard the Rex killed them, but it doesn't explain how there was a severed hand on the steering wheel with no apparent damage to the cockpit. You're telling me he recruited captains and crews, trained them, fed them, clothed them, built star destroyers, researched and built completely new planet-killing guns for said SDs, all in secret? I've learned many people don't really know what a plot hole is. Maybe not a plot hole per se, but it bugs the heck out of me when the interior of a residence doesn't match up with the exterior. Why didn't the Little Mermaid just communicate via writing? She could sign her name to the contract, so obviously she could read and write. In kids' movies where Santa is real but nobody knows except the kids, the parents wake up to presents under the Christmas tree every year and are just like, yup, nothing sus here. Why does Doc travel back to when Marty and Jennifer were teenagers and bring them into the future to keep their kid out of trouble when he could have just traveled a few days back and warned adult Marty what was going on in Back to the Future Part 2? Die Hard 2 is the worst. The premise of the movie is that terrorists took over one of the DC airports and wouldn't clear planes to land. They are going to run out of fuel and crash. So when the